Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Let me take the cholera vaccine. So, the chairman of the Forum of Health Commissioners of Nigeria, Dr. Banji Filani, has said that 22 states have received test kits and other materials from the federal government following the recent cholera outbreak. As the also mentioned, that 500 suspected cases in Lagos, and they've been scrambling to contain the spread. Also, they suspected that most of the notably affected states are Lagos, Bayelsa, Zamfara, Abia, Cross River, Bauchi, Delta, Katsina, Imo, and Nasarawa State. He said that unfortunately there are no vaccines just yet. They're hoping to get the vaccines coming. They don't produce it here in Nigeria, so they're hoping the vaccines coming quite soon. But speaking in Lagos State specifically, the special advisor on health to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Dr. Kemi Ogunyemi, who was here and mentioned that there was a decline. She did say that, yes, that over the weekend there was a little bit of an increase because we get reports here and there. It hasn't been totally confirmed, but accumulatively it's about 500 cases that are suspecting it might have been cholera, but it's not yet totally confirmed. She attributed the initial decline to the massive sensitization that's been done throughout the state and the fact that people have been going around teaching people how to wash their hands and boil water. So they're hoping that the vaccines come in quickly so they can help. But vaccines don't work alone. They also work with you being more hygienic. So they're hoping that that can also help to sensitize and help reduce the cholera outbreak.
Yes, I have a major headline. And this story for me is it's quite worrying. So they say the Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, his name is Daval Kumar Edwin. He has accused the international oil companies in Nigeria of plans to frustrate the survival of the new Dangote oil refinery and petrochemicals. He says they are deliberately and willfully frustrating the refinery efforts to buy local crude by hiking the cost above the market price, thereby forcing the refinery to import crude from countries as far as the United States with its attendant high cost. And he also said that the federal government had issued 25 licenses to build refineries and we're the only one that delivered on our promise. In effect, we deserve every support from the government. He says that more than 3.5 billion liters, which represent 90% of our production, have been exported. And so they're asking the federal government and regulators to give them the necessary support to create jobs and prosperity for the nation. They're saying that the IOCs sometimes made the refinery to pay $6 over and above the market price, you know, and so that's why they have to go and look elsewhere to import. But one that, for me, that was the most worrying is the importation of, they said, extremely high sulfur diesel from Russia and dumping it in the Nigerian market. So as we know, licenses have been given for importation, and they're bringing in dirty fuel. And so they were explaining it that what has happened is that this particular fuel, that they're ultra high sulfur diesel from Russia, and they have high carcinogenic effects.
Oh, you know? So they also
and that countries, they say, especially countries like Belgium or Netherlands, there are many countries were quite alarmed by the amount of sulfur and how bad the fuel is. We're using them here in Nigeria. Government's allowing people to import them, and we're using them here for whatever reason. So these are the things that Nigerians need to know, you know, and I hope that now, I hope that it's not that we're waiting for Dangote Vice President to tell us that government is aware of the type of oil that's being brought into our country.
Even Dangote had mentioned that the mafia in this oil and gas is worse than the mafia in the drug. He mentioned it last week. So he also needs support from government to help him fight these guys because they'll do everything to frustrate the efforts of getting this refinery working. So these are calculated
attempt to frustrate him.
Other countries have banned this. Countries that know better have banned this. I hope that our country will follow suit immediately.
At least the situation is out now.
To think, last administration, we had this issue of sulfur petrol shipped into Nigeria that knocked a lot of persons in jail, even though we didn't see anybody take the fall for that. For it to be recurrent, it means that we actually need to hold some people accountable for some of these mishaps happening in our country. Because if you don't create a scapegoat, they'll continue to do it.
Okay, Vanguard.
Story, food prices worry operators within the agri sector. And I had reading the data that was released by the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. the representative of that group, Kabir Ibrahim, said that 1.25 trillion naira has been budgeted to the agri sector over the past 3 years. And yet we're not seeing the impact in more affordable food in the market. That typically, when you go to the market now, food is available, it's just more expensive. That is only vegetables like tomatoes that are not available, and that always happens in rainy season because we don't have we don't practice greenhouse farming. But when you study the budget, since 2022, there's been a constant decline in the agric budget. It dropped in 2023, it dropped in 2024. Yet there is a constant increase in personnel costs. So we're spending more money on personnel, spending more money on overhead, and spending less money on capital expenditure, like these that would have proper projects impact on the country. We're reducing the budget, increasing staff, increasing overhead, and reducing what goes to the people. The man is advising that the government needs to step in, that it's only in Nigeria that there will be food available, people willing to buy, and the price keeps going up despite the interventions of the Ministry of Agric, that the Ministry of Agric is not dealing with the problem. And one of it is, of course, the valuation of Naira made everything get more expensive, but there needs to be intervention within the agric space, especially for people, because the cost of food...
now is Nigerians. Because me, I don't know, it can be all documented policies are there. Nigerians also must, because sometimes I was going to buy 2 bags of yam of 7,000 naira. I'm thinking, okay, from the farmer to here, how does it get to 7,000 naira?
It will, because the staff are asking for more. My staff now, I have 8 farm staff. They are saying that 45,000 naira is not enough a salary for each person right now, because the cost of living has gone up. So if my cost of farming has gone up, the cost of yam will go up.
And what they say is the yam seller will tell you that I have to buy tomatoes, which is expensive. I have to pay for my tariff, which is expensive. So I have to actually sell more to pay for these expenses.
Vanguard, Labour to governors on minimum wage, rescue Nigeria from state of resentment and misery. Civil servants collecting salaries after relocating abroad must refund money, says federal government. Nigerian pilgrims starving in Saudi Arabia, says Governor Bago. Worshippers recount ordeal as fire got Christ Embassy headquarters. Who has Christ Embassy? Nobody has that story.
Yes, I have the Christ Embassy story. So they were recounting yesterday. They said that the Christ Embassy auditorium in Oregun caught fire based on electrical appliances, and church workers who were in church were sharing their experience because they had to scamper for safety. This started around 7 a.m. in the morning, and it wasn't put out completely until around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Yes, it was huge. It also prevented worshippers from being able to worship in the auditorium. They all had to move to Asese, to the campground, where they then ended up worshiping. They said a lot of worshippers said they saw the building and they were in tears because they knew like a lot of investment had gone into it, and a lot of things have come.
Were they able to save the building?
No.
That
building has to go down.
Yes, the building would go down.
Has to go down.
However, the pastor, the president of the Love World International Christ Embassy, Reverend Oyakhilome, said that the church is not worried about the incidents. He said that we built that with what we know. Imagine what we are going to do with what we know now. And when things like this happen, do not be moved. So it was inspiring people about understanding that there would always be growth.
Okay, so before you get up and you move, I mean, service still helps.
Have a story in Vanguard?
Yes. So the organized labor has warned some governors not to plunge the country into resentment and misery and impoverishment. You know, talking about the minimum wage, we know that there has been this back and forth between the government and labor, saying that labor is asking for 250 and federal government is saying we can pay 62. So it's now the advice from the governors who can pay and who cannot pay and all that. So labor is saying, while you're trying to suggest what you can pay, try not to create misery in the states.
They used to, he would have provided the kitchen, they would have gotten a kitchen for them to provide that. And that pilgrimage should not be beyond 2 weeks, but you have people still in Saudi Arabia 40 days, some people standing there 45 days, it makes no sense. Because he feels, as he said earlier, that NACO should not be involved in the operations of it, be a regulatory body. For the people that, they know their people, they have a better and closer relationship with them. They're able to take them there and bring them back on time, make sure that they feed well, make sure that they're staying there comfortably. But NACO is a bit too far away from the people, you understand? So
Okay, I was going to take a quick story. 50 members of the House of Representatives under the auspices of concerned federal lawmakers in the peace and security in the Southeast have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to invoke Section 174 of the Constitution, of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, that's Nnamdi Kanu, from detention to aid the restoration of peace in the Southeast zone. These are lawmakers from different parts of the country saying that there has to be something done quickly to get him released, to be able to restore peace into that zone. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we want to the hot topic of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.